Can't believe it's the end of February already. I feel like this month went by so quickly. It's kind of freaky, but it is time for part 2 in my monthly takeaway series, which is basically just at the end of the month, I will share some takeaways from the month. And these things include my favorite piece of tech, the best book that I've read this month, a life lesson I've learned, and then a goal for next month. So to get straight into it, my favorite piece of tech for this month was my X-Way Flex electric skateboard. And I've done a video on it in the past, so feel free to go back and watch that. But I went without my board for, I think, probably 3 weeks all up just recently, and that was because the battery was having issues. It's the first kind of issues I really had with the skateboard since I got it, and it was at the shop being repaired for about 3 weeks, and it made me really appreciate how much I really do appreciate my skateboard. While I didn't have it, I had to catch public transport or get my wife to give me lifts to work. And when I got it back, it just made me appreciate how much fun it is and how easy it is to get around on the skateboard in terms of like not having to wait for traffic, not having to wait for the tram, as well as how much money I save in terms of like public transport costs and petrol costs. So even though I've been riding it for quite a while now, I think this month I just had a fresh appreciation for it because I went without it for quite a while. That was my favorite piece of tech in February. So next up is the best book that I read in February, and that is 1984 by George Orwell. Now I haven't finished reading it, I just started rereading it because I did read it probably about 5 years ago, maybe not quite that long ago, maybe 4 years ago. And I remember reading at the time thinking, this doesn't feel like quite that much like today. It feels a bit even unrealistic in some ways. I could sort of see what the author was trying to get at, but I was like, that doesn't really apply to us. But since then, the world has changed a lot in the last few years, and rereading it has given me a fresh perspective on the book. And it's just further reminding me of how much the world is changing at the moment. And I think for me personally, as someone who likes to think a lot, it can be a bit overwhelming, and it can be easy to focus on all the negative things that are happening in the world. One thing I've been thinking about is just trying to remember that it's really at the end of the day about my reaction in terms of how am I going to respond to the changes in the world. There's nothing I can really do about them. So how am I going to respond, and how am I going to make the most of the changes that have happened in the world? And I'm finding it's definitely not easy to respond correctly all the time, but I think just being mindful of it and trying my best to be positive despite negative situations around me, I think has been just something I've been thinking about a lot this month. So 1984 by George Orwell, definitely recommend it if you haven't already read it. It's a great book. So next up is a life lesson that I learnt this month. And now this isn't one that I've necessarily learnt this month for the first time, but it's something that I've been thinking about again and trying to remind myself of, which is to live in line with your personal values. And I think that's just because it really helps me to keep on track and to stay moving forward in life, and it helps me to stay positive and that sort of thing. For example, I've thought about quitting YouTube quite a few times in the last month just because it's been a bit of hard work, and I sort of question, is this really worth my time, all that kind of thing. But then one of my values in life is creativity, and so to me this is a way that I can practice creativity. This is a way that I can express myself, and so that going back to that and reminding myself that that is one of my values has sort of helped me persevere and keep going and keep pushing forward, despite the fact that I don't always necessarily feel like being creative. Remembering that it is one of my core values and it's something that I do actually genuinely believe in really helps to realign me and keep me on track. So that's just one thing that I've been thinking about this last month that has that's been encouraging me. So lastly is my goal for next month. And just before we talk about my goal for next month, I thought I would just review and recap how I went on my goal for this month just gone. And the goal I set last month was to publish 8 videos this month, and I achieved it. I actually got 8 videos out. I think that's possibly the first time I've gotten 8 videos out in a month. Usually it's more like 4, so it's double my usual output. And I wasn't quite sure, to be honest, if I'd actually be able to do it, but I think just sort of the social accountability of saying it in my previous video really helped. Even though probably no one cares or is really keeping track other than myself of how many videos I'm putting out, just sort of saying it publicly I think has helped me stick to my goal. So it's been really good. I've actually really been enjoying putting out 2 videos a week. It's been great. I've been learning a lot, and I think it's helping me improve my videos. slowly but surely. So next month, my goals for next month will be to publish another 8 videos, but also I want to start publishing a regular newsletter. And I've gotten a handful of subscribers to my newsletter since I first started promoting it, but I've actually never published a newsletter. So this coming month, one of my goals is to publish a newsletter. So yeah, that is the monthly takeaways for February. Don't forget to check out my other playlists if you're interested in any of my other videos. And other than that, I hope you have an amazing day, and I'll see you very soon in the next video.